you this.
Go ahead.
Are you pro-life?
I'm pro-life when that black person is killed.
Exactly.
And when the Republicans
Ask you this. Are
call
you
your party.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Call your party.
Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Are you pro-life?
I'm pro-life when that black person is killed.
Exactly.
And when the Republicans knock that Governor Kemp in Georgia. No, here's the deal though.
Okay,
you
let me
are.
ask you this.
But show me where your Republican politicians
are you
pro-life in their policies.
Let me ask you this.
You know what I am? I'm pro-black. And I'm going to call out anybody
you should.
who call themselves pro-life, but their policies are not.
And I am pro-life. Let me ask you this. Are you?
Call your party.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Call your party.
Can I ask you this?
Call your party.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Call your party.
Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Are you pro-life?
I'm pro-life when that black person is killed.
Exactly.
And when the Republican...
So let me ask you this.
No.
Right.
When the Republican says nothing when somebody is gunned down.
Again, that's like the weird argument of one of the other conflations is you can't be pro-life if you support the death penalty. Like innocent babies or Timothy McVeigh. Like, come on. Now, again, I support the death penalty in principle, but not in practice because they make too many mistakes. The system is broken. It needs to be fixed. But I'm not against capital punishment. I'm against our system, which is flawed. And until it's fixed, we shouldn't be doing it. But when it's unanimous and it's like, okay, he did that shit, get him out of here. But when it's these situations where there's evidence and there's different information, I'm like, all right, we got to chill with that. We need more time. But that's another deflection that the left makes. This man, Auntie was having hot flashes. Call your party. Call your party. She's trying to ask him a question. Is he pro-life? Again, he deflected. He didn't say I'm pro. He said I'm pro-black. But again, how are you pro-black if you know that aborting little Indian babies, aborting little Chinese babies was dumb for them to abort their little girls? If you know that white people are struggling and tripping because they ain't having enough babies, so they want to cut the abortion out. But then you're going to support the party. You're going to support the Democrat. You're going to push and promote every black Democrat that comes on your show. That's a part of their platform is killing black babies, Roland. It's giving women access to kill children. That's what you're going to support. That's what you're going to promote. That's what you're going to ridicule and criticize every Republican that doesn't come or does come on your show. And you're going to give opportunity to and give light and back the Democratic candidate who wants to kill black children, who wants more funding for more black babies to be dead. Again, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a black boy that's get aborted because more boys are born than girls. How is that pro-black? Deconstructing the Boule Bird, Roland Boule Bird Martin. All right. Shout out to Valuetainment. I see Jason Whitlock just did some commentary about him. I agree with Jason Whitlock. Roland Martin definitely operates in bad bitch energy. He definitely has that female energy thing going on. Roland constantly talks about how no one wants to debate him, and he goes on his show, he killed it, but he never was invited back. Very braggadocious and speaks highly of himself, which I've never seen any other journalists with air quotes do that. Journalists don't make the story about them. They don't make anything about them. They make it about the topic at the end. Roland's the only person I know that's always beating his chest. That's just weird for a journalist to do. It should be about the story. It should be about the facts, the data, the information. Not about you, but Bullet Bird are not really good at doing that, ironically. But Roland's not good at debating. All he does is talk loud, stutter, beep, 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 and talk over you. And one thing he does, and he's really good at, though, and that's part of the debate, right? It ain't just knowing all your facts, knowing your information. It's getting the other person off their game and yelling and screaming and doing all other stuff so they freeze up or they lose their thought. That's part of the debate, right? It don't matter if you had all the information. If you can't articulate it, you lost the debate, regardless. But Roland's good at that part. He's not good at debating the actual facts and the topics because he'll bring up other shit that ain't got nothing to do with the topic, as you saw on the David on the PBD on Valuetainment. Specific question, Roland: why are all these cities that are Democrat ran top and bottom failing and they're bad? And he goes, "What policies? Name the policies." But in this clip, he names a bunch of policies that he claims Republicans don't support. That's why they can't be called pro-life, right? Ironically, right? So he defeated his own argument in this video because he can name a whole bunch of policies that he says if conservatives don't support this then they can't call themselves pro-life. They're anti-abortion. They're not pro-life because they don't support the government funding abortions, prenatal care, a bunch of other stuff that I'm sure that conservatives generally want to happen, but they want it to happen in the private sector. They want people to volunteer and do those things, not take more money from taxpayers to fund these things. But in that debate with on Valuetainment, the question was simply about the cities, why are this situation happening in the cities, and he goes and says it's the state fault, right? It's because of the state. But what's the one thing you heard in all politics, and you never hear it until after the election is over, because generally the black folks don't come back out and vote again in the primaries. But they get you to come out and vote, and they use the fear tactics to say come vote federally. But then when it comes to the local shit, a lot of people fall back and they don't. The ironic thing is that the most important thing, and a lot of the things that black people need to become better, it's not going to be done at the federal level. It's not going to be done at the state level. Some of it, but generally, it's local municipalities that are going to get the things that black people need every day. The little changes that you've seen in law enforcement, body cams, things of that nature, all of those things, they came from the local level first. Then later on, the federal government might adopt it or might expand it, but it comes from the local level first. So Roland says why are these cities with Democrat mayors, top and bottom, both sides, this and that, right? I asked that question. Why can't black people live in New York, which was before this last election, top, up and down, Democrat? It was a one-party state. And yet, with all the little policies that they keep taking out of our checks to support this and support that and support this and support that, why are we running to red states, right? Yeah, Mississippi is poor and it's trash or whatever, blah, 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 but Negroes is running to Texas. Negroes is running to Georgia. They're not running to New York. They're not running to Illinois. They're not running to California. They can afford to stay in those blue enclaves. And instead of saying, just admitting that, some of these policies don't help black people. Some of the Democratic policies don't help black entrepreneurs because all of them taxes. How many black small businesses got hurt because of Obamacare? Because he forced them to pay for people's insurance that they couldn't afford to pay for. That's policy. But anyways, getting to the topic of this video, though, I'll probably leave a clip. I'll leave this in the link. But Roland Martin basically says to this black conservative woman, which it looks like it's 10-on-1, Republicans can't claim to be pro-life because they don't support early child education and Medicare expansion, all these other things that got nothing to do with the context of the conversation. You can't redefine what a pro-lifer define what pro-life is. It's about the life of the child, and maybe morally we shouldn't be doing that. I agree that I think in another 150 years we will look at slavery just like we looked at abortion. Everyone who had one wouldn't want to be one, right? And eventually we're gonna get there. We're not there yet, obviously. But ironically, what we see with white America, and Roland has pointed this out. He wrote the book White Fear, which is basically him bragging about replacement theory. But when Tucker Carlson says it or Republican says it, it's a conspiracy and it's it's hate and all that other stuff. But y'all been saying that for the last 20 years. Y'all can't wait for the day that Hispanics take over and be outnumbering the white folks. That's not even that. They'll lose their majority status, and it'll be a bunch of other people on the other 50%. It's not like the white people are still gonna be 50%. It's just it's gonna be the other groups is gonna be up, but black folks are still gonna be at the bottom of that level. We still gonna be outnumbered, and I wonder why. But if you can point out Roland, because he's done this, he said. And he's always joking about white people not having enough babies, right? I made that joke to somebody too. If y'all so smart with that bell curve, how come y'all can't have no more babies and y'all getting outnumbered? Whatever. But he points that out and understands that that's wrong and that's not a problem. He also pointed out in a different interview that when China did their one rule policy with kids, he said he foreseen that being an issue because it's like you need men and women to create children. You need to replace yourselves. Two people need to create at least two other people. That's how this shit works. And he said he's foreseen the problem with that. So if you see white people having their issues and they're passing these laws and doing all this stuff because their numbers are lower or getting lower, and if you've seen how China's economy is getting screwed up because they don't have men to marry the women outnumber the men. I mean, the men outnumber the women. there's not enough men to work in these factories because they run the damn factory. All the jobs from America's over there, from everywhere else, it's made in China, and you ain't got enough men to do that, to make it. Right? Generally, more boys are born than girls. I mean, more boys are when women get pregnant, boys have a higher infant mortality rate, but we still outnumber them because more of us are born than them. We just die more at birth. But so that means you generally not creating more of yourself to replace yourself. So if you understand that when it comes to Chinese, Roland, when you understand that when it comes to white America, how could you be pro-black or pro for the betterment of black people if you support a party, you vote for a party, you support policies that will expand abortion on demand, when we know that every 10 black babies die, 9 brothers die, we're not replacing ourselves? How could you say you're pro-black and support giving these policies that let little girls get abortion pills without their parents' permission, and they end up getting blood clots and all types of shit, and you wonder why they bald-headed, wearing them hair hats? This is an example of somebody I know. She snuck off and took some pills and was doing that, and she ended up getting blood clot, and she's bald today. But I'm just saying, like, you support policies that support these things, you donate to these things, but you claim to be pro-black. If you can understand how abortion is not good for white people because they trying to fix their shit because they messed up and they doing the Supreme Court stuff, which, you know, was inevitable. That's always the goal. You see how it's messed up in China, and they trying to like backtrack and fix their shit, even to the point where they're importing Koreans and other women, other groups, to try to give the men some opportunity to get some women and have some more babies and whatnot. They even going into Africa and impregnating African women because they screwed up so bad, right? But then you as a Democrat, and don't say you're not a Democrat, nigga, you are the king of niggercrats. For a person who says I'm not a Democrat, but you tapped dance for Hillary Clinton, you gave away debate, put questions that help a Democrat, not the progressive, no, not the independent, actually, who was Bernie Sanders. When you refer to the 14 or 13% of black men who voted for Trump as dumb in the context of weed, mind you, like we all a bunch of weed heads, but he called them stupid because he was upset and hurt that his Democratic mommy Hillary Clinton didn't win, the one who he tap danced for. So dismiss me with that. I'm not a Democrat. You are. Make that shit make sense to me, though. You can't redefine an argument and make it a bunch of stuff that you think would work possibly or should work. You can't do that. That would be like the white person, the white conservative saying, well, where's Black Lives Matter, when Pookie and Ray Ray shoot up the community in town and we not having a reaction and we just be crying and saying rest up and all that other stuff. Our energy is not the same. I'm not saying that it's not pro-black community movements out there that do the work, but the reaction is definitely not the same. If you think about it, when the white conservative says that, where's Black Lives Matter now? Like, no, Black Lives Matter has a context. Generally, when white cops shoot black men, that's generally what it is. But that's not even what the shit is about. They use that, the death of black men, they've exploited the death of black men to promote a bunch of feminist, Marxist, LGBT bullshit. Right? That was the cloak, right? Because initially with Darren Wilson, and I think it was Missouri, it was started with stop the violence marches and stop them and dudes out there cleaning up the street and policing the street. Notice that when it is that, the white liberals don't jump on the bandwagon. The white liberals ain't promoting that. The white companies and corporations ain't putting things on their website talking about we support Black Lives and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, when it was about us cleaning up our street, us stopping our own violence, us policing our own streets. But the moment they let some trained Marxists, their words, not mine, come in talking about kill the patriarchy and role reversal and women can lead and get rid of the traditional family structure of the men in the household, when that came in, that's when Soros started donating them billies and them millies, right? Again, the white liberals wasn't on the bandwagon when it was that. There's Detroit 300. I don't even know, like, there's other chapters of that in other cities. How often does that make the news in the media? When have they been on CNN or MSNBC or Roland Martin, for that matter, who's supposed to be, you know, black media? When it comes to us policing ourselves and doing the things that we need to do on our own without the government, which is what Malcolm X promoted and pushed, right? Remember when King Randall was on Roland Martin, he berated him and for what? Like, there was no point in doing that. This man is saying, this is what I've done without government. And I think that's the argument that conservatives make, is like, this is what you can do without government and without taking other people's money to redistribute it, to do this and that, right? You can't tell me that I'm not pro-life because I won't support expanded Medicare. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's not how this shit works. That's not the context. Just like a white conservative can't tell a black person who's in BLM, oh, well, you don't act the same way when Pookie and Ray Ray shoot the community, so therefore you can't say Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter. No, there's a context of it. White liberals and white conservatives can't redefine what Black Lives Matters mean. It is what it is. They usurped and they took over an actual movement that was about stop the street violence and all that. They added a bunch of feminist LGBT nonsense to it, and that's what it is. And I don't expect them to do anything outside of what they're doing, because that's not what the inception of when they usurped it. That's not what it's about. And that's why Roland is not a good debater, because he's bringing up a bunch of other shit that ain't got nothing to do with the topic to try to tell him you're not pro-life because you don't support this. Okay, then the white person will tell you that you're not pro-black because you don't burn down your cities when Pookie killed like 5 babies, or the old black dude who sit on his porch get hit by a stray bullet who went to damn Vietnam twice. And you don't burn down your city over that, and you don't shut it down, and you don't tear it up because of that, or make it difficult for them to operate and do what they do. You can't say you're pro-black. Nope, that's not how it works. That Valuetainment debate with Pat, David, and Roland, it was horrible because I don't think Pat is actually necessarily versed in the conversation. I don't. And then Roland did not answer none of the damn questions. Again, direct question. Most 26 out of 31 cities that Democrat read. Obviously, the other 3 cities that are Democrat led are doing good. He could even make that argument. Like, why are those 3 cities doing good though? If the other 26 are bad, but the 4 or 5 other cities that aren't doing bad, or there's some upward mobileness going on in there, what did that politician do? You can point out directly what black meccas we have. You can point out directly when Marion Barry was giving out government contracts. He can riddle you all the things that were done in Atlanta that helped policy-wise when it was under Democrat leadership, but you can't acknowledge what they're doing that's bad. That's why there's a migration back to the South. Why black people are running back to red states. Oh, okay. But yeah, we just deconstructed Roland Martin and his argument of why a conservative can't be pro-life because he doesn't support a bunch of other shit. This is real quick. Remember that time the Indian dude a few years ago? It went viral on YouTube. We all did videos about it back in the day. The Indian guy who was talking about he wanted to abort black babies on purpose. Like, he was purposely, for free, just killing nigga babies, right? Which we acknowledge is kind of, that would be supremacy or whatever. It's not white supremacy. It was red dot, no feather. It was Indian supremacy. But he's like, I'm gonna use all my resources to keep these Negro babies off the system. They're not gonna get no welfare. I want to abort them. If you look outside his house, the protesters was all white conservatives. It was all white evangelical conservatives outside. It wasn't even no black people out there conservatives. This Indian dude is talking about, I want to murder and kill black babies because I don't want them feeding off the system and making my taxes go up. Ironically, ain't that weird though? The conservatives don't want their taxes going up to support kids after the womb. The liberal don't want their taxes going up after the womb. The conservatives don't want it going out their pockets before. Think about that. But again, those were organizations and institutions that were not funded by the government, that were helping women, helping people get set up for adoptions, helping them do the whole, if you do want to have the baby, we can find a house for you, or helping you through the steps to find the jobs and stuff like that. Those organizations exist. Again, are they on CNN? Are they on MSNBC? No, they're not going to promote that. Those are private organizations with private funding, and they will not get the same light of day to be seen. I assume that's what the sister was trying to point out in the video, which she couldn't because Roland Martin yelled and screamed and made a conversation about himself. and I'm sure it's like 10 niggercrats to the one black female conservative in there. So that environment is pointless. Stop doing that. Stop going into some spaces. It's not nothing edifying gonna come of that. It really isn't. It's pointless to talk to these type of people. If you debate Roland, you have to have a moderator there. You cannot let him be the debater, the reporter, and the moderator, all because that's what he's gonna do. But anyways, that's my video. I just thought I was just listening to this dumb shit, and of course Roland, his title, Roland owns and destroys a black conservative on abortion because they don't support a bunch of other policies that ain't got shit to do with killing babies in the womb, which he knows is bad, which he knows is a problem, right? Which he knows is why black folks, the Latinos, ain't on that. The Latinos ain't out here killing the babies like in the numbers we are. I'm not talking about the Puerto Ricans, I'm talking about the Latinos is taking over and it's going to be the dominant class, and we're going to be like South Africa, and black people are going to have the political power but none of the money. But the Latinos ain't killing their babies. The white folks are trying to stop killing their babies, but you support the party and the policies that will kill more black babies. But you're going to tell that black conservatives that they're not pro-life because of some other stuff that happens after they're here. Even the niggercrat in the background was like, Roland, let her respond. He not even let her talk, but that's part of his debating tactic. Get all emotional and effeminate like a woman because he's auntie and he got bad bitch energy, and then get you off your game and get you making and get you arguing about something that the topic's not even about. The topic isn't about police death and police brutality or when people die and people get shot. Like, you making it about a whole other topic. It ain't got nothing to do with. You don't get to redefine what pro-life means to conservative. It's a legal document. It went to the Supreme Court. Like, it's specific. It's a specific thing. It's not about executing criminals, rapists, and murderers, and people who blow up buildings with hundreds of people in it. It's not about that. It's a specific thing about, do states have the right to kill children? Does the federal government have the right to give women access to kill children, or is it up to the states to do that? That's the context of what that is in.